Jonathan and Dylan right here in the H&N Digital Center. Want to get to a very important international story. The UN has accused China of underreporting its death toll in its latest and ongoing COVID outbreak.
Yeah, Jonathan, that official number is still very low, even though hospitals and crematoriums are inundated since China scrapped its zero COVID policy. CNN's Selena Wang is there and shows us the shocking images.
COVID lockdowns may be over in China, but for many, there's misery at the end of zero COVID. The virus is overwhelming hospitals across the country. The sick struggle to get help. Patients crammed into every available space, every hallway and corner of this northern Chinese hospital. Not everyone survives the struggle. Rows of bodies filled this funeral home storage room in Liaoning province, though we don't know how many died of COVID. In Jiangsu, families in mourning clothes flood the gate. And in Sichuan, families line up outside right next to coffins, waiting to cremate their loved ones. China has only officially reported a few dozen COVID-19 deaths since reopening. But satellite images confirm the different reality we see on the ground. These images, taken in late December and early January, show crowds and long lines of cars waiting outside of funeral homes in 6 Chinese cities. The images from the outskirts of Beijing show that a brand new parking lot was even constructed. We visited that funeral home. Rows of cars were already there. I'm now standing in that new parking lot of this Beijing funeral home. This entire parking lot area did not exist a month ago, and as you can see, the roads are not paved. One van pulls in, unloads a body, and another follows. A man tells me he waited hours for his brother's body to be cremated, but the wait is nothing, he says, compared to the crowds from a few weeks ago. Experts say Beijing's COVID outbreak has already peaked. In December, we filmed these body bags piling up in metal crates at another Beijing crematorium during the height of Omicron's spread in the city. This video CNN has obtained was filmed by a man who said his father's body was lying in this overflowing Beijing hospital morgue for days. He said his father waited hours for hospital bed space. By the time a bed opened up, it was too late. Cities are now scrambling to set up fever clinics and increase ICU capacity. For weeks, it was nearly impossible to buy cold or fever medicine. They were all sold out because of the huge demand.
Drug companies like this major pharmaceutical manufacturer in Beijing, they are going into overdrive to increase supply after there was a shortage of medicine to treat COVID-19 symptoms. I asked the vice president if they had received any advance warning from the government that they were going to abandon zero COVID so they could prepare to ramp up production. Well, he didn't directly answer my question, but it's clear that now they are doubling down.
The company told us they simply follow government policy. The drug shortage overflowing hospitals and crematoriums, they're images of a country unprepared for the sudden end of zero COVID. So many families in mourning are questioning what their 3 years of sacrifice during zero COVID was really all for. Selena Wang, CNN, Beijing.
All right, let's keep this discussion going on this very much still developing international story. Turning things over now to Howard Dykes for today's Pacific Rim Report.
Time for the Pacific Rim Report with John Hemmings from the Honolulu-based Pacific Forum. We've been watching as China opens up after being shut down and kind of isolated because of COVID, and it's having a couple of interesting effects. The most interesting initial effect, of course, was that despite resurgent COVID in China, the airports were jammed with people catching up on business meetings.
That's right, business meetings, and of course Chinese New Year's coming up, so people have been flooding the various train stations and airports, but of course coming with that has been a serious toll at the hospitals.
What's the economic effect of people having meetings, or is there none?
Well, it's still too early to say. I mean, opening was only earlier this month, but you know, the most economic forecasts are saying that, of course, Chinese economy will bounce back. But with that comes a huge cost of human lives. What's happened is essentially a lot of the elderly in China have only been given 2 shots of the Chinese vaccines, which are widely said to be based on the original Wuhan virus. They're not really developed for Omicron. And so what's very sad and sort of tragic is the national government has stopped reporting on deaths. So there's only regional and provincial numbers. So one UK forecast was that it'll be up to 5,000 deaths a day.
The U.S. was offering vaccines to China, but apparently was turned down?
You know, this is a very political, you know, everyone knows that with COVID, it's been obviously a health emergency, but it's been extremely political for the PRC, for the People's Republic of China. They viewed it as one, you know, way to show the best of China, the best authoritarian system can take care of its people, and to sort of put a lid on society up to the 20th Party Congress. But they haven't really stood up to that first promise. They've neglected to really take advantage of U.S. largesse. I mean, in the beginning it was understandable because Pfizer and all the Western vaccines were at a very limited level, mostly restricted to the U.S. and to other countries where they'd been developed. But that's not been the case for more than 6 to 8 months. So I'd say they're letting their country down at the moment.
There's kind of a profound cultural aspect to this. For centuries, China has believed devoutly in the idea that they don't need anybody else. There's that old story about the emperor who recalled all the ships of trading and exploration and burned them.
Yeah. I think the party that sort of theme has been accentuated, especially under Xi Jinping. Wasn't so much the case under Deng Xiaoping and others that favored trade and open relations with the West, but unfortunately with Xi, you've seen a real return to that seeking to provide a model worth emulating to the world, but actually that sort of attempt has come back and bit them.
Okay, well, we'll watch for change. There's always the possibility of a future change. And we do these reports regularly as we follow events that are going on in the Asia-Pacific region.
For the first time in nearly 3 years, the inflation has fallen on a monthly basis. And this trend was revealed today in a key economic report, which could make your next trip to the gas pump a little less painful. Isabel Rosales is in Washington to break it all down.
Hey, Dylan, the year's first inflation report is out. The Consumer Price Index found that prices over the last month, they have dipped. Inflation fell to the lowest levels we've seen in more than a year.
Today, we've got some good news.
President Joe Biden touting progress on the economy.
Even though inflation is high in major economies around the world, it's coming down in America month after month.
As new data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released Thursday reveals a decline in month-over-month consumer prices for the first time since May 2020.
Over the past 3 months, core inflation has come down to 3% on an annualized basis. That's down from more than 6% at the beginning of 2022.
The December Consumer Price Index shows overall inflation decreasing by 0.1% from November. The costs of new and used vehicles, airline fares, and personal care items down. The overall decline largely attributed to the falling price of gas, dropping by 9%.
My administration took action to get oil onto the market and bring down prices. Now gas is down more than $1.70 from its peak.
But Greg McBride of Bankrate says those improvements aren't being seen across the board.
In addition to shelter costs, food costs continue to rise, electricity, vehicle insurance, even household supply, the type of things that you're buying on a regular basis.
The data also shows the cost of food, though still rising, grew at the smallest monthly rate in nearly 2 years. And while there could be a light at the end of the inflation tunnel, the economy still has a long way to go. And Dylan, this marks the 6th straight month of improvements. Month over month, prices have decreased. We have not seen that during this inflation crisis. So certainly there is good news there, Dylan.
Awesome. Isabel, thank you for that report. A few questions for you. We understand that not all of the numbers are exactly positive. Can you dig a little deeper into where Americans are feeling the most economic pain?
Yeah, unfortunately, with any economic report, there's a but to it, like the bad news, right? And it found that the cost of living is problematic elsewhere, especially when it comes to shelter costs that are up sharply. So this is very painful for Americans. This is rent, this is mortgage. Take a look right here. This is a big part of people's budgets. The fastest pace that we've seen right there, 7.5% up since Ronald Reagan was in office back in '82. Plus, look at the grocery prices right there, rapidly rising over 10%. And look at the price of eggs. Talk about sticker shock in the dairy aisle. That is a whopping nearly 60% increase. We have not seen anything like that since '73. Now, the cost of that, Dylan, is devastating avian flu that has killed many egg-laying hens. Also, the higher cost of feed and the strong demand for eggs that we see during the holidays. So the bottom line here, inflation, it is the biggest problem in the economy right now. It is getting better, but there are moments, pockets there in the economy, certainly painful to our wallet.
Yeah, definitely a lot of factors at play here into that sticker shock. Now, how closely is the Federal Reserve looking at these new numbers, and how does that play into the interest rate?
They are watching this very closely. We've seen the Fed over the past couple of months essentially waging war on white-hot inflation. Now, the concern from the experts here is these aggressive rate hikes, they maybe have not done anything, or the flip side, that it could tip us over into a recession. But now, with this latest CPI, we're seeing that it finally feels like the Fed has the upper hand here in putting out the inflation fire. So maybe instead of slamming the brakes on the economy, they can tap the brakes instead. But the Fed's own projections say that inflation will remain above 3%. The normal's around 2%, well above 3% they're expecting through 2024. So that means, unfortunately, more hikes are probably on the way. Dylan.
Well, the inflation is impacting all of us. Isabel Rosales in Washington, thank you for joining us here on This Is Now.
And we've got more developing news to get to. A special counsel has been appointed to look into the handling of documents marked classified connected to President Biden. Skylar Henry has the very latest.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announced he's appointing former federal prosecutor Robert Hur as a special counsel to investigate how President Biden still had classified materials from his time as vice president.
The extraordinary circumstances here require the appointment of a special counsel for this matter. This appointment underscores for the public the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
The first batch of classified documents were found at the former vice president's private office on November 2nd and turned over to the National Archives, who notified the DOJ 2 days later. More documents were found in the president's Wilmington, Delaware garage in December, and Biden's lawyers confirmed today that they found another document at his home.
I take classified documents and classified materials seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review.
CBS News has learned some of the people who worked for Mr. Biden during his time as vice president have already been questioned by the DOJ. House Republicans say they want to know what kind of danger the documents pose to national security.
Clearly, he has mishandled these classified documents. There's issues of concerns of national security. I've requested a threat assessment from the Director of National Intelligence.
Other Republicans say the DOJ treated former President Trump much harsher, raiding his Mar-a-Lago home to find classified material that the National Archives repeatedly requested he return.
You watched them leak photos of sitting out files of President Trump. Where's the photos of President Biden's documents?
House Republicans have already launched an investigation looking into the Department of Justice and its handling of former President Trump's case. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Big surf. This has landed McNamara on a huge bomb yesterday, and we'll see more big surf today. High surf warning extended until tomorrow morning for most north and west shores. And the winds will ease up starting tonight. Light variable winds tomorrow and Saturday. That means the VOG being pumped out by Kilauea could be moving up the island chain, and we could see some pretty poor air quality. And then on Sunday, for a brief time, the trade winds will come back, clean out the air, but that might be only a temporary situation because we could see the VOG and haze come back again Tuesday and Wednesday.
We're learning about another troubling sign of climate change. A new study shows ocean temperatures hit their highest levels on record for the 4th consecutive year last year. The study was published Wednesday in the journal Advances in Atmospheric Sciences. It found the 5 hottest years for the world's oceans all happened in the past 6 years, and oceans are continuing to warm at a fast rate. Researchers have examined temperatures from the ocean surface to about 6,500 feet deep, going back to the 1950s. Oceans are a good indicator of the impact of climate change because they are less affected by seasonal change and day-to-day weather cycles than air temperatures. They also absorb most of the world's heat. Another turf battle is brewing at a beach on Oahu's North Shore. The homeowner claims his efforts are to stop erosion, but beachgoers say it's a line to keep them out. Our Ben Gutierrez has more.
Near the surf spot called Gas Chambers here on Oahu's North Shore, you're going to run into a long line of sticks. Some of them kind of make a makeshift fence of sorts. So who or what are they keeping out? The sometimes sharp wooden points line the sand fronting several properties along Kenui Road. Some homeowners say it's their way of trying to stem beach erosion.
We are trying to encourage people not to climb up the bank because foot erosion is our biggest, other than waves, our biggest concern. Today those waves were sweeping well across the beach, keeping people away. Dean Cost, a retired educator who bought his home 4 decades ago, put up some small sticks in front of his property to save the naupaka plants that hold the sand and soil in place. See those little plants growing down there? Let them grow, and stay down on the flat part of the beach. But we're not trying to claim any land. We're just trying to preserve the plants. But some beachgoers claim the sticks are being used to keep people away, and some property owners are yelling at visitors to do that. Some are concerned the sticks are a safety hazard.
There's a lot of situations where people aren't following what the lifeguards are saying, and all of a sudden they have to run up the beach very quickly. And I just can't imagine a crowd running up the beach quickly with high surf like we had today, and then encountering all those stakes and what would happen. The president of the Sunset Beach Community Association says this is one of several approaches being taken by desperate property owners as more beaches are being eaten away by rising sea levels and big winter swells. I mean, some of these are very long-term property owners. And just think of the financial stake they have in their property. And this is their home, and they're losing it to erosion. You're not really trying to keep people off the beach.
No, can't. We don't have the beach. We don't own the beach.
The DLNR initially said the stakes didn't appear to be illegal because they didn't actually block beach access. But the State Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands later sent us a statement saying the beaches are public. Homeowners do not have the right to keep the public off state land fronting their property. As for Cost's sticks,
Mother Nature took them away just today.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
All right, let's take a look at what the internet is talking about today. And you've heard about this yet? Yeah, some big changes to the soda world. Pepsi is looking to the stars to compete with Coca-Cola Sprite. The beverage company is launching a new lemon lime soda called Starry. This will replace the previous Sierra Mist. Despite being on the market for 24 years, yeah, it didn't really compete with Sprite, and many always called it the imitation Sprite. Pepsi says Starry is different though. It's fruitier and has more aromatic qualities than Sierra Mist. All right, real quickly, Dylan, let's actually move ahead to good news now, because Kikida fans need to listen up. There's a big event in the works, and we're going to head back over to Guy Hoggy with news on that.
Kikida Forever is the final tribute to the beloved character. It happened Sunday at noon, the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii. Here to tell us more, Kikida, as well as Joanne Ninomiya and the actor who played Kikida, Daisuke Ban. Good morning!
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Yes.
So many people are excited that Kikida is back in town.
Yes.
But this is the final tribute, you say. Why
Yes.
the final tribute?
Well, I wanted to go out on a high note.
Yeah?
And we were kind of dormant during the COVID time.
Okay.
So, but our fans are very loyal.
They are.
And then they're like in their 50s, and they were born around in the late 60s to early 70s.
Right,
or
that's my
mid-70s.
younger brother for sure. Yeah.
So while they're still well, they can still walk,
Yeah.
drive on their own, catch
yeah.
the bus. And so I wanted to end it on a high note.
Oh, that's nice. Now, Bon-san, are you surprised by the loyalty and the excitement of Hawaii fans?
ハワイでの人気はどう思われますか？
もう50年前にハワイに来まして、それでまあねすごい3万人ぐらい入ったのかな、バーッと来たんで、それがまた20年経ってまたブレイクしたという、もうハワイにはびっくりしてます。
He's amazed because we brought him for the first time in 1975, I think.
What was he, like 21, 22?
Yeah,
thereabouts?
little older,
A
but
little
in
older?
his 20s.
He looked like a kid.
And the crowds really filled the HIC showrooms. And then we called them during the summer, the brother, Kikaida 01. And then in 2002, because I had 2001 on the new Kiku. We started on Channel 13.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And even then, the crowds came back.
Yeah.
Because the kids had grown up. And they were in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, good demographics.
Yeah.
And they came back. And so he's still amazed about all the popularity.
So you're the one that brought the show to Hawaii back in '74.
Yes.
You must have some memories, and it must make you feel really good that you made such an impact on these people.
Yes, I saw it first when it premiered in Tokyo in 1972. And when I saw it, I knew because the colors, red, yellow, blue, the music, and the characters were very impressive, very nice looking.
Yeah.
And so I knew that Hawaii needed a Japanese superhero.
Okay, so again, give us the details. It's on at the Japanese Cultural Center.
Yes. At noon.
At noon.
That's our appearance.
Okay.
And then Bang will be signing autographs from 1 o'clock outside the 5th floor ballroom.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you.
Bon-san, thank you very much. Yeah, arigato.
See you Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. See him Sunday. All the fans like Derek, you know where you're gonna be. All right, thanks for joining us on Sunrise. Kikaida, aloha.
Ooh, exciting stuff there.
Definitely must not miss for Kikaida fans. Looks like it's going to be a great farewell event again that's happening this Sunday at the Japanese Cultural Center. More details are posted on hawaiinewsnow.com.
And real quickly, new Girl Scout cookie.
New flavor. Jonathan, guess what it is?
Something berry?
Raspberry Rally. Yes, the Girl Scout cookie season is right around the corner. Take a look for their new flavor, Raspberry Rally. Also, got to keep in mind some supply shortages and delays that might impact local sales. So if you know any Girl Scouts in your neighborhood, get your orders in early.
Act fast, act fast.
Yep.
Maybe competition for those Thin Mints.
It will take a couple Thin Mints. Thank you.
All right.